you ever felt that nagging sense of discontent, especially during times of transition? Whether it's approaching retirement, changing careers, or just grappling with life's unpredictability, the feeling of discontent can be overwhelming. But the good news is, by taking a holistic approach to your well-being, you can regain control and move forward with greater ease. Today I'm sharing personal stories and insights that highlight the importance of a well-rounded approach to well-being. Plus, I'll offer some practical tips to help you assess and improve your own well-being across various dimensions, which can make a big difference in how smooth your journey is.
I'm Irian Ulofse, living in the picturesque village of Vermont in Hermanus, South Africa's stunning Western Cape province. So whether you're preparing for retirement or navigating any major life change, join me as we explore how to make the most of this new chapter, turning it into a period of growth, joy, and contribution.
Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Today I want to introduce you to the idea that well-being consists of various dimensions. We often simplify the concept by just referring to well-being, and then often only thinking of the emotional component. In reality, it's much more comprehensive. So to help explain this, I'd like to use the analogy of a wheel. Think of each dimension of well-being as a spoke in this wheel: emotional, physical, spiritual, and social well-being, among others. If one spoke is out of balance, the wheel wobbles and life becomes a bit rocky. Our goal is to keep our wheels balanced, so our lives can be smooth and fulfilling. Wherever life takes you, remember that your well-being is your compass, guiding you toward a more fulfilled and balanced life. In today's conversation, I'll only talk about 4 of the dimensions. As I've mentioned, physical, emotional, spiritual, and social, but there are many more. You are welcome to read the blog that I've written about integral well-being on my website. You'll find the link in the description below. I'll start this conversation with physical well-being by sharing a bit about my personal journey with physical well-being. While I began focusing on the physical, I soon realized that this journey wasn't just about the body. It was about healing my mind and emotions too. When I first moved to Hermanus in 2022, I was about 50 kilograms overweight and dealing with several health issues, including type 2 diabetes. Like many of us, I hadn't been active for years, but the ocean paths here called to me, and I just started small, just walking about 2 kilometers a day. Slowly but surely, I increased my distance to 3 or 4 kilometers per day. When an Achilles injury stopped me in my tracks, I had to pivot, and I bought myself a bicycle. I'll be honest, I knew how I looked at first, massively overweight and stopping every 1 to 2 kilometers to catch my breath. But I kept going. And after almost 8 months, I can now walk 8 to 10 kilometers every other day, and on my cycling days, I'm cycling 20 to 25 kilometers. I've also lost 34 kilograms since January of this year. This has been a lifelong battle, and I know that one's head has to be in the right place to do this. But I found that the walking and the cycling lifted my mood, and I just woke up one morning and realized I have enough petrol in my emotional tank to start this journey as well. Of course, not all of us live in safe enough neighborhoods where we can simply go out for a walk or a ride. But there are always alternatives, whether it's walking on a school sports ground, using a treadmill, or even doing chair yoga. Where there's a will, there's a way. And the most incredible part, it's not just about the physical changes. Don't underestimate the power of these activities. Not only do they keep you physically fit, but they're also one of the best remedies for lifting your mood and easing feelings of depression. I feel more energized, more at peace, and much more capable of handling life's challenges. So here is tip number 1. It's about finding what works for you and making small incremental changes and then sticking with it, even when it's tempting to skip it. Let's talk a bit about emotional well-being. In 2019, the company that I worked for went belly up, and I was consequently retrenched. I could have easily fallen into a state of panic and despair. But instead, I focused on the work that still needed to be done and refused to allow myself to spiral. I believed that when the time was right, the next opportunity would present itself. And it did, almost immediately. I was retrenched on the 31st of August, and by the 1st of September, I had secured an even better position in an environment not known for many such opportunities. This experience speaks to a key aspect of emotional well-being, and that is emotional agility. Emotional agility is about being flexible in how you respond to difficult emotions and circumstances. I have spoken about this in a previous video about how we respond to change. Keep in mind that we ascribe meaning to what happens. Life just unfolds around us. It's not good or bad, it just is. Instead of pushing away difficult feelings or allowing them to consume me, I had to work with them constructively. In my case, by staying focused and trusting that things would work out, I kept myself in the right frame of mind to seize the opportunity when it arose. What's important to recognize is that physical well-being and emotional well-being are deeply connected, and I can confirm that increasing my physical activity definitely boosted my mental resilience. By making those daily walks and bike rides a non-negotiable part of my life, for example, I started to see shifts not just in my physical health, but also in my emotional state. I felt more positive, more resilient, and better equipped to manage stress. Every kilometer I walked or cycled wasn't just a step forward for my body. It was a step forward for my mind and emotional health as well. And this is where I would like to bring in tip number 2. It's normal to experience a wide range of emotions during any transition. Excitement, relief, but also uncertainty. How you manage these emotions is key. Negative thoughts can be debilitating, and learning to manage or reframe your negative thinking is not easy. For me, it's an ongoing battle. This involves catching myself when I'm spiraling into negative thinking patterns and deliberately reframing those thoughts to focus on solutions or positive outcomes. For example, instead of thinking, I'm too fat and too old to get on a bicycle now, I would reframe it as, this is going to improve my health and I don't have to cycle that far for now. I only have to cycle around the block if I can't do more at the moment. The third tip is about gratitude. Now, I know some of you might scoff at the idea of practices like gratitude, but it's actually rooted in neuropsychology. It's more than just practicing gratitude or journaling. It's about creating new neural pathways in the brain. I started by building small daily habits, like thinking about something I'm grateful for every morning while making my coffee. This is me training my brain to focus on the positive. This simple, structured approach helps boost my emotional well-being by reinforcing positive connections and shifting my mindset. Finding creative outlets works wonders when it comes to our emotional well-being, and this is tip number 4. I've mentioned in my previous videos that any form of creativity, whether painting, music, cooking, or do-it-yourself projects, can be a powerful tool for emotional expression and stress relief. The idea is to channel emotions into something tangible, helping to release negative feelings in a productive way. Personally, I decided to step outside my comfort zone and I took up weaving, a craft I'd never considered before. I shared much more about this in my first video, Retirement is Not the End, where I talked about how weaving has been incredibly fulfilling. It's given me not only an outlet for creativity, but also a sense of calm and purpose. If I hadn't embraced this new challenge, I would never have discovered how much joy and satisfaction it brings into my life. Then there's spiritual well-being. Going through any life transition offers a chance to reflect on life's deeper meaning and your connection to the world around you. For many, this is closely tied to religious faith, practices like prayer, attending church, or following spiritual traditions that offer comfort and a sense of purpose. But even if you're not religious, spiritual well-being can still play a vital role in your life. It's about connecting to something bigger than yourself, whether that's through nature, meditation, or reflecting on personal values and purpose. For me, nature is where I feel most connected to God. But I also have a tremendous affinity for holy spaces, whether they're churches, cathedrals, or temples. My late wife and I used to travel a lot, and it became a bit of a friendly joke between us because she knew I couldn't walk past the holy place without going in and sitting in silence for some time. I feel the presence of something greater in those spaces, something peaceful and enveloping. Whether I'm in nature or in a sacred space, it's that same feeling of being wrapped in the love of God or a higher power. I still make time for these moments, and they've been key to maintaining my sense of spiritual well-being, especially after Tilba passed away. Even if you don't consider yourself spiritual, think about those moments of awe you've experienced, perhaps on a walk in nature or sitting quietly with your thoughts. That's spiritual well-being in action. So as tip number 5, spend time in places that inspire you, whether holy spaces, nature, or whatever works for you. Reflect and allow yourself to find peace in those moments of stillness and recognize the beauty in the world around you. And lastly, social well-being is key. You've heard me emphasize the importance of social well-being and connection in many of my previous conversations. It's because strong relationships are essential to well-being, especially during life transitions. But it's not just about how many relationships you have. It's about the quality of those connections. Taking time to nurture your relationships can truly enhance your overall well-being. I've spoken about it in my video, Stop Chasing Friends. When I moved to Hermanus, I was amazed at how easily I made friends, probably more than anywhere else I've lived. There's something about living in a coastal town where people seem more socially inclined, but I was also fortunate with my neighbors. And here is my final tip. Challenge yourself to engage with others. We regularly have chats when passing each other on walks, and I often get invited for drinks, snacks, and dinners. I try to say yes to these invitations whenever I can. Even as an introvert and budding hermit, I don't feel like going out or would prefer a quiet night in front of the TV, but I remind myself how important it is to stay engaged socially. These interactions are with people of all ages, older and younger, and that's what keeps things interesting. Socializing or social connections enhances not only my emotional health, but my intellectual stimulation. And as I've mentioned in the video, Stop Chasing Friends, even longevity. It keeps the mind sharp and the heart open, and it's added a lot of joy to my life. I want to share a bit about one of my most beloved activities, and that is traveling. Much like the journey of well-being, travel takes us through unfamiliar territory, but in the process we learn, grow, and ultimately rediscover ourselves. My wife and I started traveling together many years ago, and it became a passion we shared. The excitement of exploring new places, immersing ourselves in unfamiliar environments, and just seeing the world through a different lens made us feel alive. Since she passed, I've continued to travel solo, and to date I've visited 35 countries. I feel most alive when I'm traveling, and I think Pico Ayer says it best. We travel initially to lose ourselves, and we travel next to find ourselves. Travel has given me that sense of discovery, both external and internal. I'm about to embark on another journey to Singapore, China, and Japan. In the next installment, I'll share more about this trip, and perhaps it'll inspire some of you to set off on your own adventures. So there you have it, my journey through just a few of the different dimensions of well-being. If you'd like to explore all 9 dimensions of well-being, including dimensions like digital and intellectual well-being, I've provided a link in the description below to a more detailed blog on my website, where you can delve deeper into each dimension and evaluate all 9 areas of your well-being. Take care, and as always, keep well.